All right, today we're going to do chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita. Before we do, I just wanted to finish chapter 12. The last video I did, my battery died. I have to check my battery every time now, but we have enough juice this time. Let's finish chapter 12. It was kind of funny because I was talking about things not bothering you, and just as the phone was about to die, I was like, shit. No, but it's okay. Sama Shatrao Cha Mitre, this is 12:18. This is chapter 12, verse 18. Sama Shatrao Cha Mitre Chatata Mana Pamanayo Shitoshna Sukha Dukeshu Sama Sangha Vivarjitaha. He who is the same to foe and friend, and also in honor and dishonor, who is the same in cold and heat, in pleasure and pain, and who is free from attachment. This is the true yogi, the true sage, the one who has risen above dualities, who is in that place of holy indifference, where the dualities of life do not disturb the mind. The mind remains firmly fixed in yoga, no matter what. Tulya ninda stutir mauni santushto yena kenachit aniketa stiramatir bhaktiman me priyo naraha. He to whom censure and praise are equal, who is silent, content with anything, homeless, of a steady mind and full of devotion, that man is dear to me. It's interesting that it says aniketa, homeless. I think that means not attached to a place of residence. Doesn't mean that you don't have a home. Contented, santosha, full of devotion. That one is dear to me. The one who is in mauna, silence. The one who is in silence, mauna, is a muni, is a sage. And finally, 20. Ye tu dharmyamritam idam yaktoktam paryupasate shraddadhana matparama bhaktaste tiva me priyaha. They who follow this immortal dharma, endowed with faith and regarding me as their supreme goal, are exceedingly dear to me. So, see that bhakta, those devotees, those bhaktas who have firm faith, full faith, shraddha, parupasate, exclusive devotion. They are firmly, they have only the supreme as the goal. They are the ones, and they follow this immortal dharma, dharmyamritam. They are dear to Krishna, and that's how it ends. Dear was used a lot in that chapter. Who is dear to Krishna? Those who are dear to Krishna are those who are the true devotees, the true yogis. Now, I said that it's not the case that they are like the elect or the select, or that Krishna plays favorites, or the divine plays favorites, the supreme plays favorites. It's rather that when they truly seek and truly find the divine, they experience that dearness, they experience that belovedness. And in that sense, that is true. That means that any of us, all of us who seek that and truly seek it with all our heart, we will experience that joy, that bliss, that peace. Chapter 13. Okay, chapter 13 is very interesting. It's Kshetragya Vibhaga Yoga. Kshetra means the field. Remember, this is Kurukshetra. This battle is being fought on the battlefield called Kurukshetra. The field of the Kurus. Kshetragya means the knower of the field. So there's the field, there's the knower of the field. Vibhaga is, as I understand it, it means like the knowing the difference or the separation between the field and the knower of the field, or the discerning of the difference between kshetra and kshetragya. And that's what this chapter is all about. So let's get into it. And it's going to be clear what kshetra means here. Verse 1, shloka 1. I'm going to go from this actually. Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetragyam eva cha etad veditum ichami jnanam jneyam cha Keshava. Keshava is another name for Krishna. Arjuna said, I wish to learn about nature and the spirit, meaning Prakriti is nature and spirit is Purusha. I wish to learn about these things, Purusha and Prakriti, the field and the knower of the field, knowledge and that which ought to be known, O Keshava. Okay, so what is the difference between these two things, Purusha and Prakriti? The field and the knower of the field. Shri Bhagavan uvacha idam shariram kaunteya kshetram ityabhidiyate etad yo veti tam prahu kshetragya iti tad vidaha. The Blessed Lord said, O Arjuna, this body is called the field. He who knows it is called the knower of the field by those who know them. So this body, shariram, the body is known. This body, idam shariram, is known as the field, kshetra. The knower of the field would be, and that would be prakriti, meaning the material, the material universe, you could say. The knower of the field is Purusha, is the witness, or is the spirit. Let's go on. Kshetragyam chapi mam viti sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetragnayor jnanam yat taj jnanam matam mama. Do thou also know me as the knower of the field in all fields, O Arjuna. Meaning, you should know me as the knower of the field in all fields, O Arjuna. Knowledge of both the field and the knower of the field is considered by me to be the knowledge. So knowing both the field and the knower of the field. And Krishna is the true knower of all fields. It's interesting, the term field. Obviously, they're on the battlefield, right? Right, the field of battle. We talk about fields, different fields in life, right? There's the fields of knowledge, the different fields of knowledge. Fields of there's it's almost like saying realms of discourse, fields of activity. We could look up all the ways that we use the word fields, but Krishna is saying, I am the knower of all the fields, right? So let's go on, verse 4. Tat chetram yatcha yadrikcha yadvikari yatascha yatsatcha yo yat prabhavash cha tat samasena me shrinu. Hear from me in brief what the field is, of what nature it is, what its modifications are, whence it is, who he is, and what his powers are. All right, so listen to me. I'm going to tell you about the field, we're going to go in depth now about this field. He's going to talk about the gunas, which make up the whole material universe. These constituent qualities, these three constituent qualities, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Now Krishna is going to go into this subject. He's already talked about the gunas previously, but now he's really going to go into it. So here we go. Rishibir bahuda gitam chandobhir vividai pritak brahmasutra pradaish chaiva hetumabhir vinishchitehi. Sages have sung in many ways with various distinctive chants and also with suggestive words indicative of the absolute, full of reasoning and decisive. So the sages, the rishis, have sung, and the word Gita is used. They've sung that, this is the Bhagavad Gita, and the rishis have sung in manifold ways in Vedic hymns, in the chandas of the Vedas. The Brahma Sutra actually mentions the Brahma Sutra. They've sung about this. So now Krishna is going to tell us. Mahabhutani ahankaro buddhir avyaktam evacha indriyani daksharikam cha pancha chendriya gocharaha. The great elements, egoism, intellect, and also the unmanifested nature, the 10 senses and one mind, and the 5 objects of the senses. Now, what Krishna is talking about here is the Sankhya philosophy, which is this kind of this emanation from the absolute to the physical, right? How the absolute comes to the physical, and he lists all these, the ego, the ahankara, the buddhi, the intellect, the 5 elements, which are, earth, wind, fire, air, ether, 10 senses, one mind, 5 objects of the senses. We're not going to go too much into that. Let's go on. 7. Icha dvesha sukham dukkam sangatash chetana driti etat kshetram samasena savikram udahritam. Desire, hatred, pleasure, pain, the aggregate body, intelligence, and fortitude. The field has thus been briefly described with its modifications. Okay, so desire, hatred, pleasure, pain, the aggregate, intelligence, and fortitude. Okay, so the field has been described thus. Let's go on, because I think it's going to explain this more. 8. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsak shantir arjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham steryam, atma vinigraha. Humility, unpretentiousness, non-injury, forgiveness, uprightness, service to the teacher, purity, steadfastness, and self-control. Krishna has already enumerated the different qualities of the knower, and now he's listing it again. I think this is a little different than what he listed before. Those of us who know the Yoga Sutras will see some things from there in here, like saucha, cleanliness. Actually, there's not much. Ahimsa is nonviolence. Other than that, though, we don't see much of the same. Humility, unpretentiousness, or freedom from hypocrisy is mentioned here. Steadfastness, steryam, atma vinigraha, self-control, etc. All right. Verse 9. Indriyarteshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanudarshanam. Indifference to the objects of the senses and also absence of egoism, perceiving the evil in birth, death, old age, sickness, and pain. So you see the dukkha, the suffering. I don't think evil is maybe the best term. Suffering might be better. Perceiving the suffering that comes with birth, death, old age, sickness, and pain, right? Having indifference. This is still the qualities of the knower, the qualities of the true devotee, the qualities of the true bhakta, the qualities of the true yogi. Absence of egoism, indifference to objects of the senses, sense objects, perceiving the suffering that is endemic, that is part and parcel of this material universe. 10, verse 10, shloka 10. Asaktir anabhishvanga putra dara grihadishu nityam cha samachitavam ishtanishto papatishu. Non-attachment, non-identification of the self with son, wife, home, and the rest, and constant even-mindedness in the face of the attainment of both desirable and undesirable. Again, this is listing the qualities. Non-attachment, non-identification of the self with son, putra, children, dara, spouse. Now it says wife, but it could be spouse, right? Griha dishu, home. Jesus said the same thing, right, in the Gospels. You cannot be my true devotee if you do not, if you're not willing to leave your family, or And this is actually clarifying what Jesus is saying. Jesus was very strong in what he was saying, but this is just saying, not being attached. That's a difference. This is not necessarily meaning you have to leave your home and leave your family. This means you're not attached to it, which makes more sense, actually. I think the Gospels were a little bit too extreme. I'm going to do a whole comparison. I'm working on it as we speak. Comparison between the Gita and the Gospels, but also A Course in Miracles, which is a more, the Course in Miracles is more in alignment with the Bhagavad Gita actually than in many ways than the Gospels. But that's something I'll have to get into in the book. Verse 11, here we go. Mai chananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratir jana sansadi. Unswerving devotion to me through the yoga of non-separation. So, exclusive ananya yogena bhakti, devotion, avyabhicharini, constant, I don't know where he says the yoga of non-separation. Ananya yogena, I guess means the yoga of non-separation. Well, whatever that means exactly, but through unswerving devotion to Krishna, resorting to solitary places, and a distaste for the company of people. Now this is saying something different than what I was just saying, which is that Krishna does seem to be suggesting here that you, the yogi, the true yogi, seeks solitude and seeks the solitary, right? And doesn't commingle so much with your everyday people and everyday activities, which would probably include family as well. But let's see what else he says. Obviously, what Krishna is saying here applies to anyone at any time in any place. So it doesn't matter if you're necessarily going to a solitary place. It could be this applies everywhere. It's relevant to every part of life. Whether you may be in the midst of many people or no people, it doesn't matter. Adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnanartha darshanam etagyanam iti proktam agyanam yad ato nyatha. Constancy in self-knowledge, the perception of the end of true knowledge. This is declared to be knowledge, and what is opposed to it is ignorance. Okay, so avidya or agyanam in this case is ignorance. constancy in self-knowledge, knowledge of the self, self-realization, the perception of the end of true knowledge, knowing what the goal is. This is declared to be knowledge. And whatever is the opposite is ignorance. Right? So, adhyatma, spiritual jnana, knowledge. Tattva jnana, knowledge of spiritual principles. Okay, so knowledge of these spiritual principles, of the true spiritual principles, is true knowledge. Anything else is ignorance. 13. Jnayam yat tat pravakshami yagyat vamritam ashnute anadi mat param brahmana sat tanasad uchyate. I will declare that which is to be known, knowing which one attains immortality. Amrita is immortality. Amrita also means nectar, or the nectar of immortality. The beginningless supreme Brahman, which is neither being nor non-being. He said this before, it's not sat or asat. The supreme Brahman is beyond all concepts, including being and non-being, which is an interesting way of putting it, beyond the beyond. So I will tell you what is to be known. I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to reveal to you now, Arjuna, the salvific knowledge, the knowledge by which one attains to immortality, or as Jesus said, eternal life. 14. Sarvata pani padam tat sarvato chi shiro mukam sarvataha shruti ma loke sarvam avritya tishtati. With hands and feet everywhere, with eyes, heads, and mouths everywhere, with ears everywhere, he exists in the world, enveloping all. This would be the Supreme Purusha. This is what Arjuna experienced, actually, in chapter 11. So Krishna is kind of reminding us. He enveloped all the worlds. This Supreme Purusha. This is also found. This idea is found in the Vedas of the Purusha. But this is also Krishna's cosmic form, and you might call it Vishnu, but you could also call it. I believe this would be Brahman, but Brahman in manifest form. 15, verse 15. Sarvendriya gunabhasam, sarvendriya vivarjitam, asaktam sarva brichchaiva, nirgunam guna bhuktri cha. Shining by the functions of all the senses, yet without being attached to them, unattached yet supporting all, devoid of qualities, yet the experiencer of them. I like this idea of the indriya, the senses, nirguna, beyond the three modes of material nature, the gunas, beyond the gunas, but the experience of the gunas, the enjoyer of the gunas. I like that idea, the enjoyer of the gunas. A lot of people think that that this spiritual thing is joyless, right? Is boring, is like you become a robot or whatever. This is saying something different. This is the renounce and enjoy idea, which is that the master of the senses actually can really enjoy the senses because the master is not attached, right? Those who are attached are constantly in fear. The unattached has no fear and can truly enjoy because they can be truly present. 16. Bahir antascha bhutanam acharam charam eva cha sukshmatvat tad avigneyam durastam chantike chatat. It is within and without all beings, both the unmoving and the moving. It is subtle and unknowable, and it is near and far away. So this is a restatement of what Krishna said before, that all things are in Krishna, but Krishna is not in all things. This idea that's sometimes called panentheism. Panentheism is the idea that the God is both immanent, meaning the God is in all things, or all things are in God, but God is also transcendent, meaning unknowable, beyond the world, beyond concepts, beyond anything we can reason about or conceive. It is here, but it is also not here at the same time. It's a paradox, right? As only the divine could be, right? You know, any God that you can figure out must not be the true God. It's like Groucho Marx, you know, any club that would have me as a member, I don't want that club. I don't want to be part of that club. Any God that would have me as a member, why would I want that? No, I'm kidding. But avibhaktam, or any God that I could figure out, I wouldn't want that God. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam eva cha stitam bhuta partri cha tagnyayam grasishnu prabhavishnu cha. Undivided, yet it exists as if divided in beings. This is where the word, I believe vibhaga is here. No, it's not here. Okay. Undivided, yet it exists as if divided in beings. It is to be known as the supporter of beings. It devours and it generates. So again, you know, the Krishna is, or the Absolute is beyond everything, but somehow is in everything and shares in the duality somehow, right? It's undivided, it's non-dual, meaning it's advaita, but it is at the same time dvaita. It shares in the duality. And it's all, and it is the beginning, the middle, and the end. It is the creator, it is the maintainer, and the destroyer, all in one. So it's an all-in-one package deal. 18. Jyotisham api tajjyotish tamasa param uchyate jnanam gneyam jnana gamyam hridi sarvasya vishtitam. That light of all lights is said to be beyond darkness, knowledge, the knowable, and the goal of knowledge, seated in the hearts of all. Beyond all darkness, the light of lights, the Jyotisham, Jyotis Tamasa, the source of all light, beyond the tamas, the darkness. It is knowledge, the knowable, and the goal of all knowledge, all in one. Some people say it is, you know, there's different ways you could put this, but you could also say it is love, the lover, and the beloved, all in one. And it is in the heart of all beings. It's in the hrid, the heart, the hrid. Iti kshetram, this is 19, iti kshetram tata jnanam gneyam choktam samasata mad bhakta etad vignaya mad bhava yopapadyate. Thus the field as well as knowledge and the knowable have been briefly stated. My devotee, knowing this, enters into my being. So thus I have told you about the kshetra. I've told you the kshetra and the kshetragya, the known and the knower and the knowable. Right? The that which is to be known, the kshetra, the field, the knower of the field, I've declared this to you. The one that knows this, the devotee, the bhakta, the Mat Bhakta, my devotee, the one that knows me is the one who realizes me and who becomes me. 13:20, verse 20, shloka 20. Prakritim purusham chaiva vidyanadi ubhav api vikarancha gunanch chaiva vidi prakriti sambhavan. Know that nature, or prakriti, the material universe, and the spirit are both beginningless, and know also that all modifications and qualities are born from nature. Now this is interesting, that nature itself, prakriti, is also beginningless. Spirit is beginningless, but nature is also beginningless. And know that all modifications and qualities are born from nature. So the gunas come, the three modes of the gunas, which are the three modes, sattva, rajas, and tamas, they come from prakriti. They are part of prakriti. And they are produced by prakriti, the material universe. 21. Karya karana kartritve hetu prakritir uchyate purusha sukha dukhanam bhoktritve hetur uchyate. In the production of the effect and the cause, nature, or prakriti, is said to be the cause. In the experience of pleasure and pain, the soul is said to be the one responsible. This is a very important point. So nature produces, all the bodies and all the qualities in the bodies. But pleasure and pain, the experience of pleasure and pain is up to, or sukha dukkha is happiness and suffering. The sukha dukkha is up to the soul, the individual soul. The purusha in this case is the term. Sometimes it's atman, but here it's the purusha. The individual soul is, now, does this really mean the individual soul, or does it just mean spirit in general? I'm not sure. But this seems to suggest that it's up to each one of us, up to the individual soul of whether we're going to choose suffering or non-suffering, right? Which is an important point. It's like we all experience the same thing in life because we all are experiencing material nature, the material reality. But how we react to that material or how we respond to that material reality is really up to our choosing. That's a very important point. Purusha prakriti sto hi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan karanan gunasango sya sad asad yoni janmasu. The soul seated in nature experiences the qualities born of nature. Attachment to the qualities is the cause of its birth in good and evil wombs. So, in other words, it's all about learning non-attachment. This is a continuation, right? Non-attachment means choosing to not suffer, right? That's essentially what it means. Attachment to the material world is the problem. Attachment, any form of attachment, is in the way. Any form of attachment causes suffering, is the cause of suffering. And it is also the cause of where we go in the next life, in our next incarnation. But also in this incarnation, where we go. It depends how we react and how we get attached will determine our destiny in this life and in any other life as well. Upadrashta nu manta cha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purushaha paraha. This is 23 now. The Supreme Soul in this body is also called the observer. So the observer is the witness, upadrashta. Sometimes it's called the sakshi, and here it's called the upadrashta. the permitter, Anumanta, the sustainer, the enjoyer, the great Lord, and the supreme self. So, this is, in other words, within all of us, in the heart of all beings, there is this witness, this observer, this, basically, the supreme is in all of us. And it is up to all of us to find this. It is there. It is there to be found. That might be one of the most important lines of this whole thing. 24. Shloka 24. Ya evam veti purusham prakritim cha gunai saha sarvata vartamano pi na sa bhuyo bijayate. He who thus knows the spirit and matter together with their qualities in whatever condition he may be, he is not reborn. So this is telling you the prerequisite or the condition that you have to meet in order to not be reborn, and that is again the kshetragya, to be the knower of the field, to know the field and the knower of the field, right? To know Purusha and Prakriti. When you know these things, when you are fully aware, fully cognizant, you have attained self-realization, and you do not need to take another birth. 25. Jnanenatmani pashyanti kechit atmanam atmana anye sankyena yogena karma yogena chapare. Some behold the self within themselves through meditation, others through the yoga of knowledge, and still others through the yoga of action. Remember, I was saying, if you were watching some of the previous videos, in one of the videos I brought up the idea of how many paths does Krishna talk about in the Bhagavad Gita, and it seems like he talks about 4: Raja Yoga, yoga of meditation or dhyana; Karma Yoga, the yoga of selfless action; Jnana Yoga, the yoga of wisdom or discernment, discerning knowledge, gnosis; and Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. Here, and some people say it's only 3, leaving out Raja Yoga, leaving out meditation, but here Krishna mentions meditation. And he says, some behold the self within themselves through meditation, dhyana, others through the yoga of knowledge. What is the yoga of knowledge here? Atmana, Sankyena, through the Sankhya, through Sankhya, the yoga of knowledge, and some through Karma Yoga. So it's Dhyana Yoga or Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Karma Yoga, leaving out Bhakti Yoga. But Bhakti Yoga is a given. So because he's talking all about devotion here. So devotion is covers everything. 26. Anyet fevam ajanantaha shrutvan yebya upasate tepi chatitarantyeva mrityum shruti parayanaha. Others too, who do not know thus, worship, having heard of it from others. They too cross beyond death, regarding what they have heard as the supreme refuge. Even others who only hear about it and they have faith and they believe, they too will cross over. They will cross over from death to immortality. Right? They have devotion from hearing about it. Even if you hear about it and you have devotion. Jesus said the same thing, right? In the Gospel of John, he said, even those, how he says, with the doubting Thomas who's doubting, he says, you have seen me and believed, and how how much greater are those who have not seen and still believe? Krishna's not saying that exactly, but he's saying something similar. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam stavara jangamam chetragya sanyoga tatvidi bharatarshapha. Wherever a being is born, whether unmoving or moving, know you, O best of the Bharatas, meaning Arjuna, that it is from the union of the field and its knower. Thank you. Dziękuję. Okay. Now this is one that is not exactly clear. Wherever a being is born, whether unmoving or moving, it is from the union of the field and its knower. I'm not sure what that means exactly. Sang-yoga, the combination. It's the meeting of, well, you could say that all beings really contain Purusha and Prakriti, right? Spirit and matter. Spirit and matter are the results, that every being that is born, and every manifest being has those two things. We'd have to really look that up and see, what people have said about that, what scholars and what devotees have said. But anyway, 28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyat svanishyantam ya pashyati sa pashyati. He who sees the Supreme Lord existing truly in all beings, the imperishable within the perishable, sees indeed. So this is the true knower, the true jnani, the true jnani, right? The true knower of the field, the wise one, the true bhakta. This one can understand the difference and understands, can discern between the two, right? Sees the imperishable in the perishable, sees the spirit, and this is from the beginning of the Gita that Krishna has been talking about this. He says, Arjuna, why do you grieve? The soul is immortal. The soul is, life is eternal. It is only your vision that is clouded. Clear away the clouds, and you will see the sun. You will see the light of spirit. 29. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavastitam ishvaram na hinastyatmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. For he who truly sees the same Lord dwelling everywhere does not destroy the self by the self. Rather, he attains the highest goal. So in other words, this is something that Krishna said before, is that the self can be your friend, greatest friend, and the self can be your enemy. It depends how you treat the self. If the true jnani, the true wise one, sees the self everywhere, sees all beings as his or her own self. There's no difference. It's all one, right? The undivided, imperishable nature is clear to that one, to that knower. And that one attains self-realization. Otherwise, we create hell. We create suffering, or we choose suffering, right? And this is rather uncompromising when it comes down to it. It's like you're either in the knowledge, or you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. You're either choosing to see the truth and true reality, or you're fighting against it, and you're fighting a losing battle. And the only one that will suffer is you as a result of that. And if you're suffering and you think that it's coming from outside of you, you are wrong. The suffering is not coming from outside of you. It is all within yourself. It is all what you are choosing. The wise are not deluded by this. 30. Prakrityaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashaha ya pashyati tatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. He sees who sees that all actions are performed solely by nature and that the self is without action. So this is something that Krishna said before. Prakriti does everything. Prakriti is made up of the gunas, and these constituent modes or elements of Prakriti, they do everything. This is all a drama that's playing itself out. And the true knower realizes that, and realizes that the self, in all of the drama, the self is undisturbed. The self is just calmly observing the whole unfolding drama without batting an eye or missing a beat. Right? 31. Yada bhuta prithag bhavam ekastam anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada. When a person sees all beings as resting in the one and emanating from the one alone, then they become Brahman. Then they become Brahman. They become one with God, right? I and my Father are one. How could Jesus say that? Well, at least according to this, Jesus could say that through complete identification with the one reality. He knew that he was not different, and he could say that. He could truly say that. Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. And so that would be the true yogi, the true jnani, the true bhakta, the true devotee. They see in all beings, they see the one everywhere in all beings and emanating from that oneness. And the one is just another name for Brahman. Ekastam, situated in the same place or situated in oneness. Eka is one. Okay. 32. Anaditvam nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyaya sharirasto pi kaunteyana karoti na lipyate. Being without beginning, devoid of inequalities, the Supreme Self, imperishable, though dwelling in the body, O Arjuna, neither acts nor is tainted. It's another way of saying the Supreme Self, the Paramatma that is within all beings, is sinless. That's that part of ourselves that is the true and the only part of ourselves, really. That's who we truly are. And that is without sin, that is without taint, that is without suffering, that is without any blemish or anything. And that is what we need to get in touch with, right? If we want to go beyond suffering and understand our true self, or the true self. 33. Yatha sarvagatam saukshmyan akasham no palipyate sarvatras vastito dehe tatatma no palipyate. As the all-pervading ether is not tainted due to its subtlety, so the self seated everywhere in the body is not tainted either. So ether is not tainted. Space, akasha. Akasha is not tainted due to its subtlety, right? So the self is not tainted either. We can't even see ether. We can't even see akasha, space. we can only conceptualize what it is. It's not tainted by anything, and neither is the self. And just like space, you can't see it per se, but you know that it's there. You know it exists. 34. Yata prakashayeka kritsnam lokam imam ravi kshetram kshetri tata kritsnam prakashayati bharata. Just as the one sun illuminates the entire world, so too does the Lord of the field, the Supreme Self, illuminate the entire field, O Arjuna. So now the sun, Ravi, right? Just as the one sun illuminates the entire world, this is another metaphor. Just as the one sun illuminates the whole world, so does the Supreme Self illuminate everything. And it's not tainted, it's not touched. Last verse. Chetra chetragnayor evam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye vidur yanti te param. They who, by the eye of knowledge, perceive the distinction between the field and its knower, as well as the liberation from the nature of being, go to the Supreme. Prakriti moksham, the release from material nature. Let's read that one more time. They who, by the eye of knowledge, jnana chakshusha. Now, in chapter 11, Krishna mentioned the divya chakshusha, which is, he gives Arjuna divine eyes, divine sight, so that he can see Krishna's true form. This is jnana chakshusha, the divine knowledge, the divine insightful knowledge, the eyes of knowledge, those with eyes to see, who can see, who know the distinction between the field and its knower, as well as the difference between, which is the same, which is Purusha and Prakriti. Know that the spirit is eternal, and Prakriti is one is not tainted by matter. They go to the Supreme. They attain self-realization. They know their true self, the true self of all, and they attain the highest goal of life. And let's end right there. Next chapter is 14. We'll get there soon. Thank you for listening. If you've been enjoying this, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts or comments, questions, anything you want me to talk about. We're getting there. We've only got 4 or 5 chapters left of this 18 chapter masterpiece, and we'll see you soon. Om.